What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And we're back with season 2 of House of the Dragon. Uh, I don't really do the play-by-play stuff. I'm not one of those guys. So I'm just mainly here to talk about the fact that A, it does have audio description, which is done by Point 360, written by Connor DeWolfe, narrated by Roy Samuelson. So, I mean, if that doesn't sound like a team that creates expert audio description, I don't know what does. Solid audio description. I was really happy with the audio description on this. And of course, we're back, and meaning there's a little bit of a catch up. It always kind of bugs me a little bit when you watch the catch up part, when you watch the season 1 recap. It's not audio described. And then, like, we jump into the episode, and I'm like, well, thank you for that unintelligible amalgamation of scenes from season 1. I kind of remember the memory jog. I remembered enough of it. I remembered the hits, the big moments, and sort of big characters. Not really their names so much. Odd thing is, I'm still going through a Game of Thrones rewatch. At the same time, like I decided to rewatch Game of Thrones from the beginning, so I'm like mid season 5 right now on that while watching House of the Dragon. So I feel like I'm like, so when Tyrion and Rhaenyra team up and go off to fight Jaime and the dragons. What series am I watching? I just feel like I'm all over the place. So, we deal immediately sort of with the fact that there really has not been a time jump. This is exactly where we've left off. Maybe like a day. Like the time jump is like a day later. And we see Jace. He's at the wall, and he wants to get support of the King of the North for his family in this claim to the Iron Throne. And we see Rhaenyra is flying around, and there's sort of this interesting segment that's set up where these people are set up, and they're set up to obviously shoot at dragons, and then they're like, no, never mind, it's one of ours. I was like, wow, you guys can tell the difference? Damn it. That's when I go, audio description, you guys can tell me. What is the difference between, like, how different do these dragons look? How do you look at one of these dragons and go, oh yeah, clearly that is that dragon? Everybody became a dragon expert overnight, and they're like, oh, you see the little hint of the bluish silver there on the belly? That's how I know not to shoot that dragon before it kills me. Because it's one of ours. So, I don't know. But somehow, these dragons are all distinguishable. And Rhaenyra finds a wing that is just a wing of the dragon, which has wrapped in it some of her lost son's like cloak gear, something like that. So it indicates to her, what she's already known, which is that he's gone. And which leads to, of course, later on a moment when Jace finally comes home. Rhaenyra kind of has a moment with Jace where they kind of mourn the loss of his brother / her son. Meanwhile, Daemon he's working on his own stuff. We see, this is all sort of out of order, because obviously they keep jumping back and forth between timelines. I'm trying to make sense of things here. So Daemon ends up, there's a character that he has there, sort of in as a prisoner, who formerly was in, who I totally forgot she existed, and the context of what she did. but she came from the other family, and so she has some knowledge of the inner workings, and he uses her to get some information so that he can go, and he appears sort of at the gate to the city. He finds the right guard who doesn't like the Hightowers and lets him in so that he can um, propose this plan, which is blood, son for a son. So they want to take out a son, and because it was what had already happened to the first in the first season, we saw that. So obviously they want to take out another. This whole eye for an eye thing is just gonna keep moving around, and taking out somebody because somebody else was taken out, and nobody is ever just gonna like make it stop. It's just, well, you did this, so I'm gonna do this. Well, you did that, so I'm gonna do this. Well, you did that, so I'm gonna do this. Everything is retaliatory, immediately retaliatory. So Damon hires this guard who takes the rat catcher down through the sewers so that he can climb up and go after one of the sons. But he doesn't go after the king or the boy king, or the king or the brother, the one that lost his eye. He goes after one of the king's sons. So one of Allison's grandkids. Is that right? I think I got that right. He has two kids. He has a son and a daughter, and we've been seeing the son throughout the episode as he just kind of appears in places. He appears sort of in a council meeting, and his dad almost suggests to one of the members that he let his son ride him around like a horse. So yeah, it's so I guess that kid is no more. Tyrell, something like that. After just a short time in this show, we're left with the implication that something terrible is happening to that young boy, and he is being murdered and being left, obviously as an example. His mother was given the opportunity to, save, but he actually saved the daughter. Like, they figured it out. He almost went and thought that when she said, because they were wondering which one was the boy, because they're twins, I guess, and they thought she was lying, and then the rat catcher was like, no, she's telling the truth. And it's like, how do you know that? Like, it's so weird. Yeah, so I guess no more heir to the throne on that side. And we'll see how that pans out in the second episode. Obviously, some other things happen. There's some suggestion that Otto should be the hand to the king. It's a suggestion again, because I guess his current hand, is, I don't know. There's some people who come in and they have some requests, and the hand definitely has a lot of thoughts about like each request and what can and can't be done, or should and should not be done. Actually, it seems like the king, who's been pretty much a douchebag up to this point, is somewhat reasonable when he's sitting there. He's like, we should give this dude his sheep back. I was like, wow, really? You as a character? You're down with it? Like, because I feel like Joffrey would have been like, oh, I'm sorry. Did me taking your sheep inconvenience you somehow? Well, I'm going to take everything of yours now. I'm going to set him on fire immediately, and then go take his home, kill his family, and kill all the remaining sheep, please. Thank you. I feel like I'm so used to like the Joffrey response to things. So it was nice to see somebody, even a character I don't like, give sort of like a measured response where it's like, oh, there was a possibility there. There was like some actual like, I'm a king. I should do something good here. Oh, good for you. Because Joffrey would have been like, no, how dare you ask me for my shade back? Yeah, so once you've had Joffrey, everything else just seems like, I don't know. Anyway, so I guess those are sort of the highlights. Obviously, they talk about like where things are set up, and we're setting up for a battle. There's going to be a crazy ass episode where things just go nuts. Aside from what I said about the death at the end of the episode, there really isn't anything here that tracks as being like the surprising death. That's like, wow, I'm so surprised I didn't see that coming. Nothing like that here. So everybody's back that should be back. I don't know that there's necessarily a new character or anything here that needs to be shouted out. Nobody that necessarily made the kind of impact. I don't think the Ratcatcher is going to be around as like a prolific character. Although I did see there was a news source that was like, the producer of the show was like, why did so and so change the scene with the Ratcatcher? And I was like, what? The what? What scene with the Ratcat? And I think it was specifically the Ratcatcher and the cheese. And I was like, that was important. There was something that was important that was written that somebody was like, wait a minute. So we approach him at first, and he's sitting there and he's eating cheese, and he's referred to as the Ratcatcher. And I'm like, what could have possibly what was he doing before in the book that was so radically different that we wrote an article about it, that like a journalist was hired to write an article about it? He must have done something crazy in the book that they just were like, nah, we thought about having him fuck the pig, but we were like, I don't know, man, bestiality and House of the Dragon. I don't know if we wanted to go that route. So we decided not to, I don't know what it was, but it was such a minor moment that it's so weird that is the thing that they're like, oh, we had to ask. We had to immediately get answers from the showrunner. Okay. I would have other questions, about like, what was his thought in this, or when did he want this shot, or what did he how to get this actor to do this, or whatever. It seems like such an inconsequential moment, but hey, I'll tip my hat to the fans of the book. If you guys all got, gypped out of something, I have no idea. I don't know what it was. I don't care. That seems so just randomly insignificant. I think it's hilarious that there's something in the book there that's like, but the Ratcatcher. I'm like, but the Ratcatcher is cannot possibly be an integral character in this series. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that, like, for the rest of the season, we're just gonna keep coming back to the Ratcatcher, and he's just gonna be like, I'm still here. I'm the Ratcatcher. Series is about me now. But I guess who knows? I didn't read the source material, so I don't know. Just kind of feels like a weird character to suddenly center everything around. But this has a great audio description. Great job to Connor DeWolfe and Roy for putting this together. So I'm going to give House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1 an A. At this point, I really can't keep complaining about the familial relations between Rhaena and Daemon, and continuing to use that as the reason why I don't like the show. It's been long enough. I feel like I've sat with it, and it's like I know that it's there. I definitely, some episodes did not get A's the first time around because I had a really hard time with that, with this pairing. Luckily, they don't do much in together in the first episode. And like I said, I think I've sat with it long enough where I don't think it's gonna tank grades. unless she starts calling him uncle. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on Movie Side.